Okay, here I am in front of my favorite piece of gym equipment, the kitchen sink. I'm often stretching here, waiting for my dinner to be done. Uh, you can see that I'm kind of hunched over here. It's clear that the legs can't straighten very well. They're so tight they kind of collapse, and the glute is weak, so I kind of have a very much of a difficulty standing up. If I try and stand up, the legs kind of give out a little bit, and the back is so tight that there's that, and the glute that kind of forces me this way. So while I try and stand up, I have that kind of problem a little bit. What I really want to show here is that not only am I collapsing sort of down, but I'm collapsing, you know, uh, into various ways, mostly to this way. And so, I kind of want to untwist myself to go this way. There's no good English word for positive word. You just untwist yourself to go that way. So I'm trying to do something like that to combat the kind of collapsing and moving to the left. And what's happening is part of this collapse is a kind of causal story I want to tell, in that there's a neurological event. The gastrocnemius is tight, and that causes a tight soleus, which causes difficulty dorsiflexing. And because I can't dorsiflex over the years, I want to continue to walk and move the knee forward. So it says it can't move with the tight soleus. The foot moves to the side, and that allows the knee to move a little bit, but that puts me off balance this way. And so I think that what's happening is that the one neurological event, the gastrocnemius problem, has cascaded over the years to various effects that work their way up. Even the shoulders are now very tight and hurt because I'm trying to hold myself up. So the neurologist might tell a different story. For HSP, hereditary spastic paraparesis, it's a series of gene expressions that miraculously go bad, just as the causal story is being told going on. If it's primary lateral sclerosis, it's sort of brain events that are going bad, causing the various motor skills going bad. I think it's probably the other way around, that the causal chain works that first you can't move very much, and then the brain events start atrophying because you're not moving. But at any rate, that's the causal story I want to tell. If I were to move this way, you get a good sense of where the HSP or PLS is. I can move this way, not great, but I can do this, but I can't do this, and it doesn't move. You can kind of go out a little bit, but you can't really lift it. You can't bend the knee. So there's probably this little muscle underneath the knee that kind of unlocks the upper and lower parts of the leg, and I just can't seem to do that. But on the other hand, I could lift the leg and it bends, but it goes down. Now here's another thing. It's not just weak, this tension that goes through it. So if I were to let go, it comes down with tension, not just falling as if it were weak. So other things that I try and do at my sink of, obviously, things like this, in a stretch like this. And I've tried to do the soleus by a kind of interesting thing where I kind of go as close as I can, within a couple of inches, come up off onto the balls of my feet, move my knees to there, and try and go down. Most people that I show this to can easily slide their knees down and touch their heels to the ground, whereas soleus is just too tight to do that. Another exercise I don't do here is to put all the weight on the tops of my toes like this. I learned this from Katie Bowman in her barefoot stuff. And to me, this kind of really helps. I really ought to do this a lot more than I have been doing it, because there's so much tension throughout the leg that sort of just stops at the toes, and the toes are tight and curled. And this kind of like, put some emphasis on those toes to try and relieve the tension over time. Whether this is a good exercise or not, I tend to do it quite a bit. So I guess in conclusion, what I'm really looking for is some way to loosen up the tight soleus, to deal with the hip flexor weakness, deal with the glute, the tight glute, and a stiff back, and the shoulders. You're looking at all these symptoms that I've mentioned over the course of these videos. I was reading in Thomas Hanna's book on somatics, and he was talking about red and green syndromes, and I was thinking, all of those symptoms of the red light syndrome are exactly what I've got. More than thinking some kind of elaborate neurological disease, that I have a very familiar sort of thing that most people have. But what I'm looking for is the tight soleus, the hip flexor, the glute, the tight back that I can barely stand up, no less go back, and whatever therapeutic advice we can discover together would be great.